The last thing you want to hear when you need your auto insurance most is a robot with countless irrelevant menu options. Which is why with USAA Auto Insurance, you'll get great service that is easy and reliable, all at the touch of a button. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
USAA. News team, assemble!
It's back and bigger than ever. It's the Unofficial 40 from Soonerscoop.com. Now, here's the entire Sooner Scoop crew. Carrie, Josh, Eddie, and
George.
All right, welcome back. It is another edition of the Unofficial 40 podcast right here on Soonerscoop.com, where we've got the crew back with us. Josh, Eddie, George, I am Carrie. And we are getting fired up and ready for the Crimson Combine this weekend. They've added an extra 30 minutes, fellas.
Don't care.
Because no one does, Eddie. I don't know that that's...
I actually am kind of excited about it. I think I am.
You
like
are.
the only
You're
person.
just used to crapping on everything because you've been talking this up all week.
Here's the deal, guys. Eddie is in the best mood he's been in all year because his favorite event of the year is taking place this weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
I've never seen a person be more excited than Eddie is for the Masters.
Eddie, is Rory the betting favorite, or is he just where the most of the money's going? Like I can't say that I've decided or seen that clear.
He's won, Scheffler's two.
Okay.
Both, yeah. Rory's playing. This is the best Rory's played since in a long time going into the Masters. He's won twice already this year. He won the Players a couple weeks ago. And Scotty, I mean, he's still playing extremely well. He just hasn't won like he had in the past 2 of the last 3 years.
Now, are you emotionally invested in Rory winning?
Yeah, I would love to see Rory win.
Okay.
That'd be awesome. What
about financially?
That was my question.
I mean, not yet. He'll probably be on one of my fantasy teams for sure, like Masters Pool type stuff. I like Morikawa. He's playing well. He's kind of like the sexy like 2A favorite if 1A, 1B is Rory and Scotty. And then you start working your way down the list. So I'm excited. It's going to be fun.
I'm curious just to kind of see, if Bryson is into it, like what those galleries look like. And
He'll be into it for sure.
Yeah.
Played well last year.
Not into it, but in the running.
Yeah,
late in the week.
I think he definitely will be. He played well in Miami over the weekend in the live event at Doral. So.
Well, would he finish second last year?
No.
Was he winning, or is that 2 years
He
ago?
was winning. I forget where Bryson ended up. I want to say top 10, top 5 for sure, I thought. Because he had the moment where he was carrying around the, I don't know, like the intersection sign or whatever that they had on 13. He was carrying that around. It looked like Jesus Christ with the cross. That was last year. So, yeah, Bryson is always going to be interest, and especially because like I was telling Gabe and Teddy today, I did the breakdown with the Masters preview. It's kind of interesting that like with the way that golf has gone with the fracture of the two sides with the live side and the PGA, that like the Masters and maybe even just majors in general have become like bigger because it's the only weekends of the year that we get to see all these guys competing against each other. So it seems like this Masters though is setting up to be really, really good. Hopefully, really, really good just in terms of a leaderboard with all the big names in contention.
DeChambeau finished tied 6th last year.
Okay. Yeah, he was winning the tournament.
Ludwig
he was
finished
winning
second.
on Saturday. Yeah, it was his debut.
Yep.
Finished second. He's not playing well, though. He's just not playing well. We'll see if he can turn it on.
Bryson or Oberg?
Ludwig.
Okay. That would be interesting. I mean, I told you there's one guy. What's his name? I don't want to do "Is This Racist" segment this early in the pod, but
who?
The Moley Win or whatever.
Minwoo Lee.
Minwoo Lee. Yeah, like I'd never heard of that guy until like a couple of months ago, maybe when you were sitting in there watching
he's a really
golf.
good player. He's a really good player. His sister has won a couple
I remember you
times
saying that.
LPGA. Minwoo Lee, Minji Lee,
and that ends.
He's
segment.
Australian.
He's Australian?
Cool, yeah, Minwoo and Minji, very Australian.
Why would you not assume Australian? Terry? I mean, that seems.
I would
so
imagine that
obvious.
you don't see too many Asians from Australia. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
didn't think
I'm sure that's a huge part of the the culture.
I didn't think the Asians were part of the original prisoners on the island.
I don't know. They must have come in late to the party. He's living in America, though.
Australia, initially an island of prisoners.
It was. It still is.
I'm going to go with Morikawa, just to
He's playing well. He's leading the tour in just about every
to show my
analytical
faith in the Asian community. It's been a little rough the last couple of weeks.
Well, he's black, but that's okay. I'm just kidding. Colin Morikawa's Asian.
I've seen enough golf to know that Morikawa's not black.
He is Californian though. He's from went to Cal, went to Berkeley. I think he grew up in California.
All right. Well, for a better Masters preview, you can go watch the Oklahoma Breakdown this week.
We got into the thick of the numbers. If you guys don't want to entertain any of the stats I've compiled, do you?
Oh my God!
You should have seen him, Kerry. That's all he's been working on the last couple days.
It's a lot of stuff on 3 pages.
There's only one line on Angel Cabrera. El Pato makes his return this week. He's been in prison for the last 2 years.
I think Rachel's
holding somebody hostage.
I think Rachel's letter to Ross was shorter than that when she tried to get back together.
It's just numbers.
Okay.
Good reference.
Let's see here. We've got stuff coming up. Obviously, this weekend we're finalizing spring practice with the Crimson Combine. We've done shows on Devon Mitchell. We've done shows on Javonnie Gibson, and I don't know that this is reading the room correctly, but Oklahoma football has just tweeted out something. And look, they're trying to generate excitement. I get it. We're going to have someone on from OU with the boys from Family Business to kind of preview exactly what to expect. But they have sent out a revised schedule here. The gates open at noon.
Yes.
From noon to 12:45.
I will say the weather's going to be great.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The weather this weekend is going to be fantastic.
From noon to 12:45, the thing that no one cares about, Sooner Kids Club Combine, will probably show up about 12:45-ish, maybe 1-ish. 1 to 2:30, the Crimson Combine. It says Skills Showcase, Fan Contests, and Challenges. But here's the thing. Coming off of the Javonnie Gibson, Isaiah Satania, Keontez Lewis news that George has put out there and Eddie's put out there this week, is it really good to say we're adding 30 extra minutes of high-intensity practices? 7-on-7, lineman battles, special teams, plus more.
Let's be honest, though. It's not gonna be
high
full
intensity.
Speed, and
I think it's going to be full speed. I think it's going to be drills and stuff.
I don't know about
with
that.
like pads on.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they're going to be tackling people, but I don't think that you can.
I don't think they're going to have pads on at this. I think this will be. I think this
like
will
shoulder.
be.
So no helmets.
No,
I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe.
Then what are we doing?
That's exactly
what we're saying.
That's exactly what we're talking about. I mean,
maybe
they will.
I think that they're going to, because they're doing like one of the things on there is with offensive linemen, defensive linemen. They're like, Gabe said that they're going to be working on like rush block.
I guess I'm confused on like, so are they going to? It's going to have this like Sooner Kids Club Combine, and then just have like a practice. Well, and then just have practice on the field.
Yes. That's the way that I understand it.
While the skill showcase and fan contest and challenges are also happening?
I mean, I don't care about that stuff, but I do think that, like, I think what we're going to see is like a fully, maybe not fully padded, but I would imagine they're going to have their uniforms on and stuff.
I don't know.
Either way, it should be seen as like a celebration of the program, if you will. I don't know. I'm trying to look through positives. I think it's going to be a waste of time. But from like I've told the guys, Josh,
this is a whole new thing.
From a video
Eddie
standpoint,
tried not to crap on things.
I think it's going to be awesome. Now, it might be different on the Ask Your Alexis postgame show when we come over here. We're going to do one on Saturday. And if I waste my time out there, I'm going to be listening to the Masters. So it doesn't really matter. I told Gabe and Teddy, it's like, hey, I'm going to have headphones on Saturday. And I'm not going to be listening to the broadcast. I'll put it that way. I appreciate them, but
Toby,
not
shots
be
fired.
I'm just double checking.
They'll be listening to the Masters too.
Are they
And
still
the weather's
charging
nice.
people for this?
Like $10. I think it's $10.
Here it is, yeah. Tickets to the inaugural Crimson Combine cost $10. Can be purchased at Soonersports.com/tickets. That's my only problem with this is the charging.
Why?
I mean, I guess if you have a kid and they're going to participate or get an autograph or something, that's great, but just call it autograph day. Just do that.
I feel like it's all semantics.
I don't know. I'll hold my judgment until we actually see it, because I hope you're right, Eddie, that it's like for real and we actually get to see.
I don't think that we're going to come back though and like have any grand takeaways. Like I think that we should mentally get prepared for that.
I don't know if they're doing 1-on-1s and 7-on-7 and it's full speed, actual real football or some version of that. Then I think you can at least like, oh well, so and so looked good, but
yeah, but then again, you're going to have to put out the precursory. Hey, this is a 3-second clip of such and such. We're not going to make bold proclamations on them.
No,
I see what you mean, though.
I mean, I just, it's like the spring game. It's just like the spring game. We didn't ever really have bold proclamations after the spring game. It's the spring game. But
you know who I feel really bad
sure.
for in this whole thing is Toby and Teddy. They're doing an actual radio broadcast while this is going on.
Yeah. I mean, Teddy's been around the team enough, though. He's been in enough practices. I bet he can add a little bit of background with some of these guys. Like, hey, this is a one-on-one rep with PJ Adebawore and Derek Simmons. This is what I've seen in practice.
I'm more interested in hearing from Brent and Ben Arbuckle and Jim Nagy and all that stuff more than actually watching what's happening.
Well, that would be.
Well, this says I'm looking at
the right direction.
I'm looking at the thing there that says
those guys.
They'll hear from General Manager Jim Nagy. And OU Vice President, Director of Athletics, Joe Castiglione, will be interviewed during the noon hour. It doesn't say anything about Ben Arbuckle. I would imagine that's going to be in stadium. Maybe he'll get on the microphone and just say some things. I don't know if it'll really be an interview.
Again, no one knows.
But we'll have...
we'll be there.
We'll have Ryan Majercik?
I don't know who that is.
To tell us on our YouTube channel.
Sure, he's...
I'll say this better not be a waste of time. I'm missing a bachelor party because of this. So, and it's Masters weekend. It's not going to be a happy person. That's why I'm being so positive. I have very low expectations.
Because he wants to save us full wrath if this thing is a shit show.
I don't think it's going to be a shit show. I mean, and it does help. I think it helps everything that the weather's going to be fantastic. So, I'm banking on this idea that it's going to be nice weather. Going to be able to see John Mateer complete a couple passes. Don't know to who. And maybe, I don't know, maybe Gentry Williams will step in front of a pass from Jet New or somebody.
Well,
just
I mean,
give some vibes.
And there's been some interesting things around the country just with spring practices and things of that nature. I mean, we all love Shane Beamer. We saw Shane Beamer go off on...
What's his problem?
On some stuff the other day. I mean,
he's talking about.
He's upset that somebody reported... he's upset about the South Carolina insiders not reporting things correctly about their closed practices and scrimmages, and said that he started yelling that someone was saying that someone had a great scrimmage and he didn't even participate in the scrimmage.
Which is pretty funny.
It is
because
I
do think that does happen.
That seems on brand, though.
That does happen with some reports, but I love Shane. I also think it's funny when he's like, you guys are reporting on who's running with the first team, second team, third team. We don't have teams. It's like, well... That's not true.
No, that's not true at all.
That's not true at all. Yeah. So you're just sending out 33 guys on the offensive line?
Yeah.
Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, we just randomly pick 5 and run them out there. Like that's bull.
OU is not sending Josh Isosa out there with what looks like the ones the rest of the way. Like,
you're reading too much into it that R. Mason Thomas is the first guy on the field every time for the defensive line. That's just an accident.
By the way, Josh, we did get you got Eddie and George in trouble with the Josh Isosa thing.
Why did I get him in trouble?
Not in trouble, but we got the other day we got browbeat a little bit about some of the pronunciations that go on. This guy maybe to the left of me, mostly responsible. That's Eddie.
Never got back to my desk.
And you said it right in front of you. I think you were invested in another form of
the crown.
It was the crown was going on.
Oh,
yeah,
nobody f***s with the crown. Congratulations to Nebraska, the first team in the history of college basketball to win an NIT championship as well as a crown championship, but still waiting on that first NCAA tournament victory.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
I think the crown is a harbinger of that kind of victory, though. I mean, like that's the springboard you need.
Everybody knows that Nebraska, when they're playing basketball in April, they just win the crown.
No, but we were told to look at the pronunciation guide, and we just rely on you. So maybe it's our fault for placing our trust in you, because I guess it's just Isosa. It's not Iasosa.
Yeah.
Okay. I literally listened to Gabe and Teddy this morning saying Iasosa. They are employed by the university, so I don't think we have to take too much heat for that one.
That's fair.
Well, we're going to sick Halk on them then. I'm going to get the
no
audio proof,
Teddy,
and I'm sending it straight to Halk.
And you guys know, I asked these kids because, my name has been butchered my whole life, so I do take it seriously trying to get people's names right. And I've had more than one where they're like, oh, no, that's not right. And I'm like, I literally have this kid on camera telling me this is how you say my name.
Well, and you know how that goes, too. Like, kids they don't want to make a big deal out of it. It's like when I go to, the Chick-fil-A drive-thru, and they're like, what's your name? And I'm like, Carrie. And they're like, how do you spell that? I was like, I don't care. Just spell it however you want. It's not going to affect my life. Like, you're not going to change the trajectory of my life if you put Carrie on my order at Chick-fil-A. And
that is what my voice to text wants to do every time I say your name. 100%.
So it's like some kids are just like, they've dealt with that all their lives. They've got, names that are hard to pronounce, or a lot of, I just talked, like PJ Adeborough, like he says it a little bit different than Houck says it, but there's an extra consonant in there, and a Barrow or whatever. We've talked about that a lot. So it's like everybody's trying to come up with these pronunciations, but I don't think the kids really care, or the grown men really care.
Well, and some of it for me, guys, a lot, especially when you get into names like PJ, like Josh, that are these African descent names. I've watched these guys in soccer. I've watched the same name, and in Europe, they'll say it differently. And I think sometimes I take my P's and Q's from that, and it's me going in with a preconceived idea. So that's not to say that I don't mess up names, but I do honestly try.
All right. Well, let's get to it. Josh, I know we did a instant reaction on the wide receiver position. And, it's one of those things. I get it on the board. I don't get too upset about people freaking out. And people are just, it's like George said, he got to a point where he was just like, I kind of, blame myself for this. It's like there's nowhere else to go when you keep having these injuries in the wide receiver room, and there's no real good explanation for it. I think people want to attach a reason because it helps them make sense of things, but you see people blaming Brent for practicing too hard, blaming Schmitty, blaming the medical staff,
blaming me,
blaming George's feature writing skills.
I think this is the one thing that's I don't know how you could go out onto a practice field. He got rolled up on. It just sucks.
Yeah,
it's just a shit situation. Now, that's not to say that there's some things that probably need to be looked at.
Yeah.
I think that there still are questions about why guys get injured and then they just never are able to get back.
Well,
that's
Jaden
the bigger
Gibson.
question.
Like Jaden Gibson getting re-injured,
yes.
That's troubling.
Yeah, that to me is the bigger concern. It's not that guys get hurt at practice. That happens, right? You guys get hurt, whether it's non-contact or a guy getting rolled up on. But the fact that nobody has come back, and that's the worrisome part for Javonnie. And Javonnie's is a broken leg, which is, sometimes easier to come back from than, ligament damage. And we'll have to find out. We don't know the full extent of Javonnie's injury.
And that being said, it is Wednesday. We have practice access tonight. We're expecting to talk to Brent Venables, but he hasn't talked to us the entire spring since they've been practicing.
So, anyways, and who knows? And Brent, that's the thing with Brent is a lot of times he's like, I don't know like what the injury is exactly or what the timetable is. And that's the frustrating part. But that to me is the more disappointing thing where it's like, okay, you hear this timeline maybe for Javonnie, but is he really going to be back on that timeline? Because last year we heard, hey, Andrell Anthony, he's going to be back by fall camp. Oh, then it's the season opener.
Can I be real dark for a second? I guess it is a good situation if it's just a broken bone in the leg.
But see, we don't know that yet.
Right. But if we were under that impression, that would be good news compared to like Andrell Anthony's situation where he had a full, like, his knee ligaments.
Right. Or the soft tissue stuff last year where the soft tissue.
If I hear soft tissue again this fall or spring again,
any of the guys who had a soft tissue injury never came back last year other than Burks. And Farouk broke his foot.
Sure.
But like,
and he at least tried. Like, no complaints with Jalil Farouk. He was trying to come back the entire time.
But it's just like, that's the part that, and it's crazy to me. And again, I don't know why some of it is, I really do think bad luck, but it's insane that it's happened to one side of the ball and specifically one position.
Yeah. But like you said, like Eddie said, like getting rolled up while blocking someone, that's like,
sucks.
That's not the type of injury that, that we're used to talking about or dealing with. I mean, it is just like with the Gibson thing. I mean, like Jaden Gibson, like, going back out there, being cleared, and then injuring the same knee again. And I think someone said on the board they saw him on crutches still just the other day. Like, how far out is he from returning? It doesn't seem like he's close. And, and that's the thing. People are like, well, you don't know. No, we don't know. We need someone to tell us exactly how severe the injury is, if it's, needs surgery, if it can heal on its own, like what's the timetable for him to at least get back out and start rehabbing. And
even darker is he going to be here during the summer?
Yeah.
Like, is he going to be somebody that is simply a part of the team? Does he think about transferring is, I guess, what I'm insinuating. I don't know.
We're talking about Jaden Gibson.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I think,
But Javonnie, I would imagine he's going to be here for the long haul. He'll go through rehab, and you would hope that he would still be a part of 2025 at some point.
Yeah,
I think the conversation is a little bit different with Jaden. I just don't know what's going on. Like, we haven't seen him out at practice. We haven't seen him.
That's
it
the
gets
thing
to that
that's
point.
Worrisome that you see guys who are injured out at practice all the time, and they're out hanging out or whatever.
It's been made infamous on the board,
right?
Because the guys are
Eli Bowen's out on crutches.
They're out
and
there
full uniform,
fully suited out.
Yeah.
Whereas we have yet to see Jaden Gibson out there at all, and that to me is kind of like a what's going on there
now. And saying that, because this is the unofficial 40, we'll go out to practice today. He'll be out there and be like the biggest cheerleader ever. It feels like every time that we shit on somebody, they end up going on dynamic runs.
I'm sorry for not shitting on OU baseball enough last night.
Just wait till the end.
Anyway, but yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. And if I'm Jaden Gibson and I saw what happened last year and, all those receivers and, the Nick Anderson drama and all that, it's like, okay, this place is just cursed. And a lot of people on the board is just like, who fucking cursed this team? It's like, is it Lincoln Riley? Is it Seth Luttrell? Like, who and how do you get the curse off?
I mean, you would have thought that it would be by going and doing missionary work in South Africa with the Soul Mission, but I don't know. It seems like we're still waiting on that karma to come around.
They didn't even the receivers go.
maybe that's the situation. Either that, or somebody brought it up on the Crimson Corner the other day. Maybe, and hear me out on this. Maybe you bring Trajan Bridges back in the spring portal. And it seems like the bad luck started when they did an armed robbery. You bring him back, you do another armed robbery.
You know what's crazy?
And you get away with it this time.
My dad did suggest that. He said, why don't they just bring back Trajan Bridges?
Why not Mikey Henderson while you're at it?
I'm telling you, bring back the whole crew.
My dad, I think, was mostly
Seth McGowan, you're invited as well.
Where's Seth McGowan now? They wrote an article about him. It was like,
New Mexico.
He was at New Mexico State.
Yeah.
Okay. Las Cruces is a lovely place. We've drove through there, Kerry.
Did anybody question him in Gene Hackman's situation?
Okay, well.
All right. By the way, what you do need, and maybe we should hire him to assess the team's nutrition situation or just their overall drug situation is our boy Will from Cody Drug RX. You don't have to mess with Schmitty in the summertime to get in better shape or feel your best. If you're looking for more energy, better focus, or just want to stay ahead of the game, check out NAD Plus injections from Cody Drug. This is, I'm telling you, I've been seeing so many things on the internet about this lately. This is the next big thing, and tons of Hollywood celebs are doing it and talking about it all over social media. I know they've been talking about it like on Joe Rogan and stuff like that. You don't have to run off to L.A. To feel better. It's quick and easy. Just head to CodyDrugRx.com, book a short telehealth visit, and your NAD Plus injection or nasal spray ships out the very next business day. Eddie's on the nasal spray. Cody Drug custom compounds everything in their state-of-the-art sterile lab, including specialized medication for men's health, weight loss, anti-aging, and more. And they love working with Oklahoma med spas and clinics, so if you're in healthcare, they're ready to team up. Again, that's our boys at CodyDrugRx.com. Feel better, faster, without the stadium steps. And we appreciate our boy Will. Go check him out, Cody Drug RX. I know Josh has looked into changing. Thanks for that, Eddie. Changing his family meds over to Cody Drug RX, and I think I'm going to be doing the same too, since I'm an old man. But yeah, the NAD Plus, really worth checking out. Go check him out at Cody Drug RX.
And I did want to say real quickly, because I've talked to Will, and we're definitely going to run some stuff through him. I had somebody ask me about the GLP-1 stuff, because there was, I know they advertise that a lot. There was something about some kind of legal standing about compounds and the way it's done. That is still fully, like, Cody Drug can absolutely still do that. It's still legal. It's a nuance from what was explained to me by Tiffany, that they are still fully capable of fulfilling all the GLP-1 stuff for anybody out there listening that wants to give it a try.
And when Josh, and if you haven't listened to this before, when Josh mentions Tiffany, that's just code word for Robert Kennedy Jr. RFK.
How do you feel about fluoride, Josh?
There's no question. What's that?
How do you feel about fluoride?
See, guys, this is where I struggle. Like, I know the names.
I didn't expect a whole rant on this thing.
I know the names that Eddie talks about, but, like, I don't have any idea what. I'm sure he has something to say about fluoride. I know he's kind of like an anti-vax guy,
about
but
fluoride.
when I say that I don't care about politics, like, that's not a thing that I say so I don't have to talk about it. I don't give a shit about politics. Like, I don't pay it any attention.
I think most of us don't.
It's so low on my list.
But, like, the whole insanity of it is just what we laugh about. And
yes,
because you know what? You need great eyesight to be able to see through all the bullshit out there, which is exactly what Eddie Radosevich has.
RFK, probably the family wishes they had a little bit of foresight, huh? Could have seen out of the back of that convertible in Dallas. The world may seem a little uncertain to Sooner fans, but one thing is clear. LASIK at Enjoy Vision brings life into focus. They're giving $1,000 off LASIK. Same deal that we've been doing for the last couple months. Better take advantage of it. Enjoy the freedom of life without glasses or contact lenses. You don't want to miss life's perfect moments like this weekend in the Masters at Augusta National. Been there. No big deal. All you got to do is schedule your free consultation today. Go to enjoyvision.com. That is the letter NJOY vision.com. Save $1,000 on LASIK and start seeing the good all around you. See, it's not just me. It's everybody that's right now in this world. Enjoy Vision. This is where Sooner Scoop LASIKs.
All right, just real quick, and something we were kind of touching on with PJ, and we were talking about names and stuff like that. I mean, we did get one day to go out there, and maybe... I don't know. I bet you, Eddie, I'll be positioned to get over in that corner if they do the one-on-ones again today as soon as practice.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what we get today. It might be a lot of stretching.
But, we got to see some one-on-ones, and a lot of it was, offensive linemen. They, ran through the receivers one time, and then, it wasn't a real long session. But
yeah,
we got to see Michael Fasusi go against P.J. Adeborough. And I can't even Nwiwu had – or Wiwu. I'm keep trying to put the in there, and it's not there. Did he have? I
want to say Grayson.
Yeah, I think that's right, Grayson Halton. But and R. Mason was just like R. Mason. I can't even remember who he went against the offensive line. It might have been
Derek.
Might have been Sexton
or Sexton, Jacob Sexton. One of those two.
So anyway, I mean, that would be to me interesting because Josh, I mean, like you said, if people are talking about. I don't want to mess up my last names here between Heim and Wine.
Taylor Wine.
Defensive
if they're talking about him possibly starting over Pete, don't shake your head. I admit it. I was in over my skis. All right, I was out over my skis. George is shaking his head like stupid old man.
You know who else was out over their skis?
Oh God.
No.
I want to know.
Sonny Bono. Rest in peace.
No idea who that is.
Cher. She killed her husband. She made him go
God.
skiing one time. He ran into a tree.
Jesus.
It's a fact.
It's a true fact.
Historically,
I mean, it happened.
Factual, true.
Anyway,
Taylor Wine and Taylor Heim.
Taylor Wine
The pride
is
of
a
Tennessee,
defensive end, I know.
The pride of Tennessee, and then Bethany's own, Taylor Heim.
I got you. That's not where I'm going. But, I mean, just to see those two do some one-on-ones, like if you're going to get an extra 30 minutes, then maybe that's worth my time. I mean, if I can see how PJ is developing as a pass rusher, if I can see, how Michael Fasusi looks as an edge blocker, Ryan Foje inside, whatever. I mean, I'll sign up. I'll pay $10 for that.
Oh, guys, to me, like, this seems like a camp. I'm going to a camp this weekend. Like, I'm going to go see the Under Armour Houston camp. So, like, that's all a camp is a bunch of 7-on-7, O-line, D-line, one-on-ones, and wide receiver one-on-ones. Like, this is my life. I'm totally comfortable in the setting you're walking into, and you guys get to watch a whole, like, you don't have to go track down who's number 732. Like, you just get to know because you know the roster numbers. So, like, that is, again, I'm all good with it. And it's, again, would I rather see a spring game? Yeah, sure. Do I understand, the concerns? Yeah, I think that's fair.
By the way,
again,
George, I do
guys,
know
like,
that he is number 44 without looking, so now you can go write a story and end his career.
Maybe I will, and then you'll get his name wrong.
But, guys, is there a matchup? Like, I mean, again, and this is assuming everybody's in and it's real go and all that stuff. I can't lie. The one I'd love to see is our Mason Thomas and Michael Fasusi. I just want to see what that looks like.
100%.
I think it'd be
awesome.
a learning experience for Michael Fasusi. Just from a speed rush standpoint. And really, I mean, like, when you watch our Mason, there's a part of his game that can still develop. I mean, he's a guy that really is just a speed rusher.
It's me being an old Colts guy, but he reminds me of Robert Mathis, the guy that used to line up across from Dwight Freeney, was same kind of guy, like 6'1", 6'1 and a half, 6'2", and like 255, but he was so twitchy and so explosive. He'd come, like, Freeney would have 16 sacks and everybody would talk about Freeney, but Mathis would have 10, 11 off the other side. He was always very, very consistent. And, part of why that Colts defense became good and won a Super Bowl at one point there.
But here's a little bit more, Mike Houck released a little bit more detail. 7-on-7 work, offensive and defensive line, one-on-one competition, half-line drills, a special teams period, to go along with what we talked about earlier.
The special teams period will be interesting because I think we'll have a lot of people on the Crimson Corner complaining about the kicking in that.
Well, that'll be good. I mean, you get some fans in the stands and you get those kickers out there to kick and see who
I don't
really
think they have been great with no fans in the stands.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that is somewhat of a concern right now is field goal kicker.
Can I sunshine pump for a second?
Yeah, let's hear it.
It's been windy as this spring.
It's going to be windy in the fall, too.
Not like it is during April.
I mean, we're talking on a good day,
In
40
March.
mile per hour bursts.
I don't know.
Eddie's just in a positive mood today. I like that.
I'm willing to shit on some stuff if we want.
Uh-oh. The last cookie.
You can get a new box of cookies in as fast as an hour with Walmart Express Delivery.
Are you my guilty self-conscience?
No, I'm the voice offering you promo code EXPRESS for free delivery on your first order.
Hey, who ate my cookies?
You mean these cookies?
Order now. Welcome to your Walmart. Promotion valid for first express delivery order. $50 minimum subject to availability. Restrictions apply.
Let's just stay away from baseball right now in offense.
I think that he's just saving it all for baseball.
Well, mainly the offense. All right, so outside of that, we've talked a lot about where OU goes now. I mean, but obviously nobody was relying on Devon Mitchell at the tight end position. I think Will Huggins is George. I feel free to step in here, but he's kind of been the guy that stood out as a tight end. I mean, look, nobody's going to sit here and try and convince you that they've got world beaters at tight end or even, any kind of honorable mention all conference, I would say. But Will Huggins, from what I've seen, I mean, he's done some decent things in practice. I mean, as much as you got probably from Bauer Sharp last year.
And he's a big guy. I think they like his consistency as a blocker more than as a receiver. I think that they like Carson Kent and Jaron Kanik as more of their guys to maybe split out or run some routes and catch some balls. I think they would like to have somebody that can do all of it and be good at all of it. And so that's what they'll be looking for in the portal is a really dynamic tight end. And
we do know that they are actively looking for people in the portal.
Yeah, and the hard part right now with the portal, because I've had a lot of people ask me, like, who are they targeting? Well, there hasn't been a ton of entries yet because it's not officially open, so we have to kind of wait. But the positions are what they have been for the last couple of weeks: tight end, running back, interior offensive line, and I would add now wide receiver on the offensive side. I think that you could see them add one or two receivers if the right people are available. And then corner on defense, I think, is somewhere that they would like to add.
Well, and I think it's important to say, too, I mean, that is part of what Jim Nagy's job is just to look at, guys that could potentially be in the portal, whether he's got his ear to the ground in the agent community or whatever, knowing like, okay, we don't know if this guy's going to be in there, but there's some rumblings that, there's a coaching change and maybe he's looking to move. And so there's all kinds of candidates that they're looking at and evaluating. And, he's kind of said it. He just lives that life where he just watches film all day long. Taylor Redd watches film all day long.
And it helps that Jim Nagy, I mean, he knows college football rosters as well as anybody because the last, few years that he's been at the Senior Bowl, that's all he's done is evaluate college players to pick the best ones to, come to the Senior Bowl. So he has a good grasp of guys that are out there, and now it's just a matter of are they going to enter the portal.
Well, and I think, too, what he did at the Senior Bowl with guys from Division II, Division III, I mean, even, this, like a lot of those agents also represent guys in lower divisions. Not a lot, probably, but some. So you probably hear a little bit about, okay, this guy's from, Nicholls State or whatever, and he's looking at this or that, and he knows how to go in and evaluate those guys on the same level as the Division I guys. So I think that, Josh, I got to think that's going to be a real help that we haven't talked about with Nagy.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think that's something that I don't think OU's really done. And I know it's something that Ohio State has talked about some is like that's almost become their football ops guy. That's half of his job now. Is looking around and, okay, if this guy transfers out, we know we're going to try to look at this guy. And we can word this however they want. Ohio State's going to try to upset this guy's equilibrium and get him in the portal because they really like this guy at out of a MAC school or whatever it may be. So I think there will be a lot of that where Oklahoma constantly has a version of kind of like you hear athletic directors always say, like, oh, I've got a list of coaches in my drawer. Kind of the same idea. Like, if this position becomes open, if we need a tight end, this is option A, B, and C. And I think that's something you could absolutely see them focus on under Nagy in this front office is always making sure they kind of know where they want to pivot to.
And, wide receiver, I think, talking about the Javonnie Gibson stuff, let's say, if you lose him till November, I mean, you've got to find somebody in the portal. You just have to. I mean, and I have to think that focus might not have been there. It might have been more on tight end and running back and things like that. But I have to think that wide receiver now, anybody for this, has jumped up to the top of their board as far as importance in the portal, this upcoming portal.
And how does that mess with what else they had planned, like at running back or tight end or what? Like, because that, I mean, whatever they get, it's a new expense. I mean, it's something they weren't counting on having to deal with.
And wide receivers, they cost a lot of money. They are not cheap to get out of the portal. So
they're probably the most overpriced player in the portal.
Yeah, a lot. I mean, people overpay for these guys all the time, and they thought that they really got a good bang for their buck with the guys that they got in the winter. Now they have to turn around and probably are going to have to overspend if they want somebody that's actually going to be a contributor and pretty good for OU next year. So, and
guess what? If you're a donor, if you have money, like, you don't want to go through what you went through last year. So I would suggest, it's hard for me to say I don't have the money to pony up, but if you want to have a good football team next year, you need to start working on that wide receiver room. Otherwise, you might be in the same, not the same position because you're going to have a better quarterback, but you're going to be in a similar position if you don't pony up and win some of these tough battles at receiver.
And I think that Jim Nagy knows that, and it sounds like he has been working very hard since the moment he got on campus to raise a good amount of money to go be aggressive in the spring portal. So we'll see.
I think aggressive might even be putting it lightly.
Yeah, I think that there's a chance. Yeah. Somebody asked me the other day, how many additions do I think they could have in the spring portal? I think it's up to 5 to 8, maybe.
That's a lot. I mean, we were talking at the beginning of spring. I think we would have said 3 or 4, maybe.
Yeah.
But I think that we have definitely identified.
It's really hard to predict that, too, because it all depends on the market.
Yeah,
like it all depends on who actually gets in the portal. And obviously, you have to have guys leave as well to make the numbers work. But I think there's definitely a world in which they're adding, 5, 6 guys in the.
And think about that. I mean, it seems like a lot, but you're already at one departure that we know of.
Yep.
With Devon Mitchell. So I mean, really, it's not that many. You just really got to count. Like, but if they go get 6, if they get 6 guys in the portal, 5 of those guys better be day one contributors, like stepping into roles where it's like, this guy's coming in, he's going to do this.
Well, guys, there's something, a little bit of an elephant in the room that happened yesterday too. And the SEC has been kind of scrambling to get rosters down to 85. Now, you want to hear Eddie go from positive to just, I hate my life. We can start talking about Judge Claudia Wilkin.
I told you. You watch it and then let me know what I need to know. Give me the Cliff Notes.
So yesterday, one of her biggest things was that she wanted to grandfather in roster limits, which meaning, all these teams don't have to go from 105 to 85 overnight, where OU and everybody in the SEC, and this is an SEC thing. I don't know, Georgia, the Big Ten do the same? Do you remember hearing that?
I think the SEC is the only one doing 85.
So now all of a sudden you have these 20 slots that might be available. Like, what the hell? Like, the SEC just made a massive mistake if that's the case, when everybody else is going to be able to stay at 105, and they've trimmed down a lot of their walk-ons and preferred walk-ons. And
now
guys
it's
like
85 that. Scholarship. OU could still add 20 guys that are, quote-unquote, not scholarship. The 105 is the NCAA, or it's going to be, if this passes, that would be, I believe, a flat across the entire NCAA. So OU can only have 85 scholarship, I believe, based on the SEC. And maybe the SEC changes that rule, but they could still add 20 guys and just pay for their scholarship with other money.
Which they have been doing for some of these preferred walk-ons.
So it doesn't, I think that they can do that.
Springfest at Lowe's means can't miss savings for your home and lawn. Right now, buy 3 bags, get 3 free on Miracle-Gro 3/4 cubic foot all-purpose garden soil. Plus, buy 2, get 1 free on select exterior paint and stain via mail-in rebate. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 4/16, excludes Alaska and Hawaii. While supplies last, selection varies by location. See rebate form for complete list of eligible products. Offer excludes clearance and mist tints and can't be combined with any other offer, promotion, discount, or coupon.
But I think it's just the fact that all these teams have been operating like trimming the fat. We have to trim the fat. And maybe that's not such a bad thing because you've gotten rid of some guys you didn't really need. But at the same time, I think, there's probably some guys they told, hey, you don't have a spot, that they wish they could go back to and say, if they know they can be on the 105, say, hey, I know you left and you tried to find, maybe you found a better situation. If not, come back. I mean, that was a little bit of a calculated gamble. Not that it backfired, but I think not knowing all the, and that goes with all this NIL stuff, not knowing where it's going to go, not not being able to predict the future. A lot of people criticize, athletic directors, and Joe C certainly is one of those. But it's just impossible to know what the judge in this thing that's in charge of the settlement. Yesterday was the first day we found out what she really liked and disliked about the settlement.
I will say, I read quite a bit about it. There's some optimism that if they change some of these...
Two things. If they change the roster limits and they change the thing about 10 years in the future, then she's basically said this has a good chance of going through.
And I think they'll change those. I think they'll, comply and say, all right, we'll do that.
She gave them a week to come up with new language.
Right. So I think there's a chance it goes through. You never know with these things, though. And there's a lot of people against it. Livy Dunn, I think, is against it, right? Didn't she show up or something?
She just needs to stay out of it.
Yeah, but there's a lot of athletes that are against it, so we'll see.
And I'm not being sexist here, but Livy Dunn's won the lottery, man. I mean, she's making millions just off of being Livy Dunn. She's not even she's not even a one of the top gymnasts at LSU.
I have no idea. But
are you guys talking about Paul Skeen's girlfriend?
Yes.
Okay. I wasn't familiar.
I have a hard time believing that you don't know who Livy Dunn is on her own.
No, I don't know. I like the chick in the Lululemon commercials. She's pretty attractive.
Talking about Viore?
Or Viore, is it Viore? Yeah, she's pretty attractive. But I thought that was Paul Skeen's girlfriend. I didn't know that she was a athlete.
Anyways, so there's supposed to be a decision next week?
A week. The lawyers for the NCAA and House settlement are supposed to, and really it's 3 different lawsuits, all kind of mashed into one. But a week from now, they're supposed to come back to Claudia Wilken with their readjusted language, and then she'll approve or not approve it.
I do find it funny the people complaining that OU is preparing for this as if they shouldn't prepare for this to actually pass. What did you expect them to do?
I mean, it looks like it's going to pass. But the other thing is the NIL part of it is still going to be a mess.
Oh, yeah.
About what qualifies as a legitimate NIL
how do
deal,
you actually
the
police
clearinghouse, and
how do you police that?
Well, and the SEC's come out and said we're going to have major penalties if you break the rules.
Yeah.
But
good luck.
And here was another thing that I thought that the judge, interesting point, she was like, you have all these schools that are making these state laws saying that they're immune from NCAA penalties if they break, NIL rules or whatever. And she's like, why don't you just kick them out? Well, the NCAA is like, and everybody's like, oh, that's a great point. It's voluntary to be in the NCAA. The NCAA doesn't want to lose those billions of television dollars by kicking out Georgia and Alabama and Oklahoma and Texas.
Yeah, you lose the Big Ten and the SEC, the NCAA goes away real fast.
And isn't there a proposal? Didn't I see something about there's a proposal to go do away with the NCAA in all of this as well?
I mean, it's pretty clear the SEC and the Big Ten are trying to take over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even the March Madness, they're trying to take it over.
That, to me, Kerry, that's the interesting point. Is it better for the Big Ten and SEC to leave the NCAA in place to kind of be like a shield and just catch a lot of the shit and be there, just be the problem child, and then still, but it's just a facade. It doesn't even matter. It's just kind of there to, like I said, just be in front and have to take all the heat for all the bad decisions.
Yeah, right now, I mean, it's just sharing the legal fees between everyone instead of sharing the legal fees between the SEC, making the SEC pay the legal fees for all these lawsuits that are coming in. Everyone that's a member of the NCAA has to pay for these legal fees and the lawyers and all this stuff.
Wouldn't that be the most cold-blooded thing ever? If right as finally everything gets legislated, however, the players agree, everybody's on board, and the SEC and Big Ten are like, well, we're good now. We're all done here. So, that would be the perfect way, and the NCAA just folds tent immediately.
Yeah, now that all these other schools like Old Dominion have helped pay our legal fees, fuck y'all, we're out of here.
Why do I feel like we're going to look back on this and be like, we were on to something there?
All right, Eddie, that's it for the NIL legal talk. I promise.
Thank you.
Should we talk about some recruiting stuff? Josh, I know we're getting ready to hit the spring high school season. You're going to be on the road here soon. It's I don't know if you want to talk about, kind of what the plan is, the general plan of what's going on, team camps in Oklahoma, big things happening in Texas down by your way, but I don't know where you want to start with that.
Yeah, so this weekend is the Houston Under Armour camp. I'll be there. Obviously, I thought there was going to be a conflict because I thought they were both April 12th, the spring game and the camp, but obviously spring game will be Saturday, and then the camp will actually be Sunday. So that'll, again, a lot of Houston area offers. We'll get to learn a lot. That's more of a place where you learn a lot of new names. But you also get a look, like last year at the Houston camp, it was a chance to watch Torrey Blaylock. At the time, watching OU commitment Jonathan Hatton. Even got to see Jonah Williams, and we discussed, his decision to not come to OU because of my prediction. That really that was a big story. But then from there, Texas spring practices will get going here over the next few weeks. So we'll get out and see some guys kind of, usually within reasonable areas of Oklahoma, but definitely, I want to go see Aaron Williams, the linebacker that visited a couple weeks ago, that I think Oklahoma will probably eventually offer, the son of a former Sooner, grew up around Rufus Alexander. So he's one of those guys I do kind of want to make a point to see. His uncle or cousin is actually Derek Johnson, the guy that won the Butkus at Texas. So, this guy just got bloodlines coming out his ears. So, and then, from there, we'll make our annual trip around Oklahoma. It's going to be a crazy week because I've said it before. I think this 2027 class in Oklahoma is really, really special. And there's a lot of guys I want to see. And having to get from seeing Cooper Hackett and Fort Gibson to some of the places around Oklahoma City and Tulsa, there's just a lot. It's going to be up at 4 a.m., go until 8 p.m. kind of stuff where I'm trying to see as much as I can. Then you move into the OU summer camps. A lot of team camps. Bixby always does a great team camp. Usually has East St. Louis come in. Has some, usually a good Arkansas school will be there. And you just go down the list. There will be several others through the years. Westmore's done them. Mustang's done them. So we'll see kind of who's playing host. But we will. I would guess from probably starting this weekend until mid to late June, I'll probably see 70, 80 OU offers. There's going to be a lot of guys to watch.
I'm curious. I know you've kind of said that, OU's probably not going to be in the race for this, but what did it mean with was it the Notre Dame trip that Felix Ojo announced that he wasn't going to take recently?
This is a message from sponsor Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was getting frustrated by your forms. Now, Taxes is uploading your forms with a snap, and a TurboTax expert will do your taxes for you. One who's backed by the latest tech, which cross-checks millions of data points for absolute accuracy, all of which makes it easy for you to get the most money back, guaranteed. Get an expert now at TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service. See guaranteed details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.
Yeah, that one's kind of interesting because it kind of ties into something I've heard recently. For a long time, the top offensive tackle in Texas was a guy named John Turntine from North Crowley. Eddie saw him last year at Dallas Under Armour. He was a mutant. He may have been the best offensive lineman there with guys like Ojo, Fasusi, Ty Haywood, Lamont Rogers, and he was a year younger than Mike and those guys, and he was every bit they're equal. I thought he might be the best offensive lineman in Texas last year. After that point in time, he lost 40 pounds.
What?
Just oh no, Eddie, you wouldn't even know him if you saw him now. He's he's lighter than Mike, than Mike was last year. Very different body type.
Did he grow height-wise?
Not really. And there's not really any explanation. He's just I just kind of did it. There's never he got sick, or there's never been a real answer for it. But for so long, he had been Texas's focus and everything Texas was focused on in recruiting offensive line in 2026. but it sounds like they've turned a lot of that focus to Ojo, and now Turntine may not be as set on Texas as a lot of people thought, because I put in a Turntine to Texas prediction like 6 to 8 months ago, a long time back. And then this has all kind of transpired. So I think there's going to be some dominoes that could be interesting kind of watching them fall. Like, I wonder if Turntine ends up at A&M, Ojo goes to Texas, and what that could do for several other guys that Oklahoma's looking at. Like, does that open the door? Because both those schools are going to have to pay out some serious NIL for those two guys. So there's a lot of stuff in play. But again, with Ojo, he loves Oklahoma. Like, he likes Bill Bedenbaugh. He likes that relationship. He is a guy that really does kind of fit that model of Oklahoma. Like, I want to get better. I want to work. I want somebody that's going to push me. But at the same time, Texas is going to make just an unbelievable NIL offer. That will happen again, just like it did with Michael Fasusi.
Especially after losing Fasusi.
Exactly. Like, I think it's one of those deals where, okay, it's just a blank check. What do we need to get this done, Mike? And that's probably what it's going to look like. I'm sorry, to Felix.
It's a good negotiation position for the Ojos. Yeah. They know they hold all the cards.
Also,
and he's a mutant, guys. He's special.
Also, I wanted to ask you a little bit, because you've talked about it a lot this week, and it's something that kind of, not that you glossed over, but with Cooper Hackett, I mean, talking about him potentially being a national top 10 recruit. I think you said that at some point. Like,
yeah,
if it works out and he, lives up to his potential in his, final 2 seasons, like, how would this be the biggest recruit in Oklahoma since who?
I would say since Gerald McCoy. Like, wow. I think you're going that far back when, and for those that don't remember, Gerald was a class of 2006 and was in that. And interestingly enough, Kerry, to make that comparison, you talk about that 06 class. That was McCoy. That was Bradford. That was Dom Franks. That was Jermaine Gresham, that incredible in-state class. And you look, and I've been talking about it for a little while now, but this 2027 group in Oklahoma is pretty special in its own right. With, Cooper's kind of leading the way, but you've got Caden Penny. You got, King Golston, the defensive lineman from Valiant that's got multiple SEC offers. I think picked up Missouri recently, and I want to say, was it Oregon? Like, I mean, he's picked up a lot of attention lately. And I think Oklahoma's offered 7, 8 in-state guys already in that class. I mean, there's Titus Hawk at Choctaw. And that's even before we get into Ben Kolar at Norman North. So, I mean, like, there's a whole mess of, like, it wouldn't shock me at all if OU ends up with 10 in-state guys holding offers. Like, I think that's absolutely a possibility, because you've got, again, I could go on. I won't, I know everybody's getting used to these names, but there's so many other guys. I keep finding a guy that I didn't know about that dude. I didn't know about this guy. So I think that's got a chance to be, again, guys, this is what we're talking about. 2025 for Oklahoma, it's just keep it on the rails. If they can go 8-4, if they can find a way to have a good, solid season, show progress, you return a ton for 2026. Your on-field should be better. Your schedule should be lighter. And then you've got this in-state class to build from and be like, okay, this is our base. We get 6 or 7 of these guys, and then we go into Texas. We go into all these other areas that they recruit. You've got a chance to really build some momentum, really start getting things going back in the right direction. But it's when people say this is a big year, I think they think about it just for Brent Venables. It's for the program. You have a chance to really get going and build a little momentum for yourself for the first time in several years.
All right.
So much positivity right now. I love it.
I know.
Well, and I think they're going to have to.
Why are we always the positive ones?
In order for 2025 to be that, I mean, we've established they've got to get some wins in the portal. But how do you look at it, Josh, in terms of just the pull of Oklahoma right now? Is it falling a little bit? Because, I mean, we talked about, obviously you look at the rankings and you say, well, they're not top 10, they're not top 5. It has fallen a little bit, but how easy would it be? Is it really just this season that can get them right back on track to where they were when Brent first got here?
I think it can be, because I think Oklahoma's staff is a very good recruiting staff. Like I really, this is from top to bottom, maybe the best recruiting staff I've covered at Oklahoma. Like you look at all the positions, there are, like I used to be, you'd be like, okay, here, and here. Okay, they've got to recruit around those guys a little bit. They've got to have the area recruiter pick up the slack a little bit, but this isn't the era of, I don't want to name any names. Well, we won't go and kick anybody, but there are some years where you're just like, this staff is not gonna, they're not gonna close on this position and that position. Right now, I think there's one really valid question, and I think we all know it. We've all talked about it, so I won't kick anybody. But other than that, I think you've got a lot of really good recruiters, and so I think Oklahoma, they've just got to have something they can sell to these guys, because so much of what I'm hearing is, man, I love the staff. I love everything about Oklahoma. I love, the soulmate, like all the same stuff I've been hearing from when OU was landing top 10 classes. But the but now is not, we just want to see OU, Brent Venables prove, that, okay, he's going to be the same kind of head coach as he was defensive coordinator. Now it's like all these schools are telling me they're all going to get fired. Like that, and that's really, really hard to recruit against. Like if one staff does it, like let's just say, and this is purely an example, I'm not putting this on the staff at all. Let's say it's Texas. A kid can write that off as, well, of course Texas is going to talk shit on OU. Of course they would. That's the way this is supposed to go. But when it's every staff you talk to, even, staffs that are out of region, staffs that don't recruit against Oklahoma all that often, the kids aren't stupid. They know that something, like OU's gotta meet a minimum standard at some point this year. So it's tricky. Like I think Oklahoma can be in a great place off the field, but they've got to get themselves somewhere realistic on the field. If that can take care of itself, I think it all kind of builds on itself.
I guess probably one of the first indicators we'll have of how it's really going is how many big, prospects come to their summer camps.
Yeah.
Because it has been, of all the summer camps that we've been to recently, like it has been at a different level since Brent's been here.
Oh, 100. I mean, Terry, this was like, the last few years have been like prime Bob era, like where, you really had not just like, good players, but you had like good seniors coming in, guys who were trying to win offers and stuff like that. And, an elite national guys. Like, I mean, a couple years ago, when Decorian Moore was there, and, Decorian Moore ended up being the number one receiver in his class. They're not only bringing in the young guys, but they're bringing in big-time guys that everybody already knows about and getting a chance to really work with them. So I think that will be telling. Like, I think, coming off 2023, Oklahoma had some momentum going into last summer, and then so much of it just got lost. And I hear good things from so many players, and I know a lot of them are excited, but I think it will be telling this year. And Kerry, I did want to say one thing I wanted to note on how quickly this stuff can change. We're talking about Cooper Hackett, maybe a top 10 player in the 2027 class. He came to OU's camp last summer. He was a non-invite camper. He just came because he is an OU fan and wanted to be there. And obviously, I'm sure they kind of said, well, maybe if they get a look at you, they'll like you. And, they did. They brought him, and he toured and everything after the camp like we know so many guys do. But it's just interesting how rapidly he has ascended from almost a complete unknown to a guy that could be the number one offensive tackle in his class.
Yeah, and I'll be interested just to see what type of quarterbacks Ben Arbuckle brings through, because we all know he kind of looks at quarterbacks differently, and he's not just looking for the guy that's got the huge arm that's a 5-star. He's going to be looking for some guys that fit his system.
And how do you do that in a camp setting?
Yeah.
Like, how do you find that look? So that'll be, like, I wonder if we see some different kind of stuff where maybe they're not always inside. And he's got them doing some read stuff where they're, okay, you're putting the ball down, and now we're booting out. We're doing some different stuff. Because, again, like, it's not a sit back in the pocket and pick your spot kind of offense. Like there's more to it than that. Now, that's not to say that it can't be that, but there's more going on. It's more evolved than that.
And it might be one of those deals, Josh, where he looks at the tape and he says, I just want to see what this guy, how he spins it in person.
Sure. Oh, I would say quarterback, offensive tackle, and corner are the three positions you want to watch in person because there's so many little nuances that are really hard to pick up on tape. Like corner, like how good are their feet really? Like they look good here, but what do they move like when you put them in a cone drill and that kind of stuff, so you can see how they sink and how they change direction. All
right, good stuff, Josh. We'll have plenty more to get to as spring high school gets going. I know I'm going to try and get out there and get some more picks this year, and we'll have some extra people working to go out and get as much film as possible, as much video. I guess let's hit some diamond stuff. Eddie, you were at the Dallas Baptist game last night. I know leaving the office last night to the game, you weren't especially optimistic that things would go well just because this is DBU.
No, I was kind of kidding. I thought that they would kind of bounce back from what was a rough weekend, and the offensive struggles continue. They were terrible last night. I think that the biggest thing for me is they're just not putting hits together. You never thought that they were going to be just overwhelming from an offensive power production standpoint, but
not a lot of clutch hits.
No, I mean, well, they're not getting any hits. They're not even to the point where they can put themselves into position to get big hits. And
when they are, it seems like they have two outs, before they get anybody in position to score.
Yeah, and it's like this weekend. I know that we were talking yesterday about this. It's like there's a lot of these guys that have gone up to the plate over the course of, really it's been the last 4 games that has really kind of reached a critical mass where it seems like every guy that's going up there's batting 0-2, like from the moment that they step into the box. So I don't think that
against LSU you could just be like, well, that's a hell of a staff, and they're picking away at the outside corner. But
and Dallas Baptist is a good program. Don't get me wrong. They're not. I don't think they're anywhere close to what they have been over the last couple years. But Dan Hefner has a really good program down there. They're just not playing very well right now, and I don't think that there's any reason to think that this is like a panic situation. But with that said, with the schedule that they have, it's not necessarily the right time to just be playing like shit offensively. So they got to find a way to win 2 or 3 this weekend. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt about that. Get your head back above water in the SEC play, and then you move on. But right now, offensively, it's a struggle.
Well, and the other thing is not just clutch hits, but you're getting guys, and you don't have anybody in the lineup that's hot together. It's like Willett started hitting recently, but he wasn't before that. You get Taki doing some good things, but what was it? Christensen, was he the guy that he kind of replaced at first?
Who?
Taki.
I mean, they flip flopped him in there. Christensen's been playing right though, and Taki's playing first. It just they really. It kind of has coincided or been parallel with the injury to Scott Mudler. And I don't know if this is a situation that Easton Carmichael's just getting tired. He's had to catch every game back there since Mudler got hurt. But it just getting Gamble back in the mix over the weekend was a good positive. They just need to play better baseball. I think at the end of the day, it's like pitching-wise, they've been able to get away with some stuff. And it's been covered up with pretty good offense. They've been able to get timely hits. They've been able to score runs. Last night, I mean, I think they had gone like 30 innings without scoring an earned run. In the modern era of college baseball, that's almost unheard of. So right now, it's an offense that just flat out sucks.
Yeah, and they had, Branch is kind of going through the freshman thing, but he was really good early.
Yeah, he had a couple hits last night, and which was a positive.
It's like I said, they're not playing terrible baseball. No. They're just not playing very good baseball.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly
pitching
what
has been really,
for the most
solid.
Part, yeah,
I mean,
it's been good. They gave up 9 runs last night. I mean, it is what it is. It's hard to win games with a kind of a Johnny Holstaff approach against good programs, and they just, it seems like, are making the mistakes when they can't. So season's not lost. I mean, obviously, I think if you refocus and put this thing back into perspective and where they were picked in the SEC, it's still a good run, but they got to play better, and you got to win home series.
They've got. I mean, it really is crazy, but playing baseball, sometimes you see teams that struggle, and they just get hot, and confidence spreads, and it
right
grows
now it's
like
the opposite
wildfire.
Yeah, they have no confidence, and just look at the Dodgers. I mean, obviously it's kind of a different scenario, but I don't think anybody expected them to give up 8 runs in the first 4 innings last night to the Nationals. They end up losing that series, going to trying to not get swept today. So,
but Vanderbilt coming up this weekend.
Yeah, Vanderbilt
should be
this
great
weekend.
Weather.
Awesome weather. Get out to the Dale. Big game next week in the midweek. They go up to Stillwater, take on Oklahoma State at O'Brate. So some good games ahead on the schedule. I guess you do get a little bit of a reprieve with Missouri here in a couple weeks and a trip to Columbia. So they won a baseball game last night. I don't know if I've ever seen this. I don't even remember who they were playing. I think one of the directional Indiana schools. But they won 11-8 in a game that they committed 8 errors. I don't know if I've ever seen a college baseball team win a game committing 8 errors in a game, but Missouri was able to do that last night.
And softball, they get ready for Bedlam tonight at Devon Energy Field.
Should be cool.
And they had the SEC off last weekend, and then because of the weather that Eddie braved, they canceled. They were smart enough to cancel softball, but
it was
not
miserable
baseball.
Last weekend. In comparison to the weather that we're getting here this week, and then obviously into the weekend, not even comparable. It was just a miserable day.
So hard to say. I mean, Kirsten Deal, obviously, in the Tennessee series, pitched really well, but they went up against a buzzsaw, lost their first series of the year. They'll be back in action. They actually beat UCF earlier this week as well, and they'll play them again. That was the game that got canceled, the UCF game.
Yeah.
Then they'll take on Alabama in Tuscaloosa
this weekend.
So they'll be back in SEC play really for the rest of the season.
It's so bizarre talking about the softball team because, like, I think that we look at it as not necessarily a failure, but they're going through some things. They're the number 2 team in the country right now.
It's very reminiscent of going from Baker to Kyler to Jalen to. Yeah. I mean, it's just like...
I mean, I still think that they're an odds-on favorite to win a regional, get to a super regional, get to Oklahoma City. I just don't know if they have that same killer instinct that some of these teams had in the past. My mom has said it even. It's like, I don't think that they're as good as they were a year ago. And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, you're replacing one of the greatest 4-year runs in the history of college athletics, let alone just the sport of softball.
Yeah, I mean, you take even the players, not role players, but players that were... like a Kinsey Hansen. Like, no one was like, oh, she's the best OU softball player that's ever played. But she came up with so many clutch hits, especially in postseason play. And you always,
awesome.
You always had the Jocelyn Alo stuff, and you had the Lauren Chamberlain stuff, and like you had that Shohei Ohtani type figure.
They thought that they were going to have that with Ella, and I think she's been banged up a little bit. They needed to get her right.
Yeah.
I think it's been shin splints is what most people have been referring to it as. So
didn't she just hit a grand slam last weekend?
She did. So maybe that was like that was a step in the right direction. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Also, basketball, 2 big signings or 2 big commitments. And
you're not just saying that. Like getting Tay Davis and Nigel Pack. Nigel Pack's going to be. I think he was one of the better point guards that's going to be out there. Obviously, he didn't play a year ago, just played in 13 games at Miami, but you're bringing in a guy that's a career 40% three-point shooter. He's like very, very heralded.
I also think, too, it helps. It's not so much that they got 2 good players that are going to, would you say, start for them next year, Eddie?
Yeah, I think so.
It's the fact that they paid quite a bit of money, from what I understand, to get those 2. Like, they are way more competitive in the NIL space this year than they were a season ago, which is huge.
And I think that just on top of everything else, you can build off of a little bit of positive momentum, believe it or not. Just making the NCAA tournament, looking like a team that could be there.
And to be able to go to guys and say, hey, look who we have coming back.
Sure.
Like, look at the guys, Dayton Forsyth, how much he grew this last year. Mo Wagi coming back,
And you're getting 2 guys that were on the team last year, but
that would have played a lot.
Seen as portal entries or portal additions. In Jadon Jones from Long Beach State, going to be in the backcourt, and then Josh Nwankwo. He's going to be a good player. He won a gold ball. He won a state championship at State North. So really kind of an interesting story. Like I remember Bob talking about him coming out of the summer workouts with basketball. They really did think like he was going to be a key piece, and then he blew out his Achilles, and I guess the rest is history. But they got a good, solid core Probably need to add a couple more in the portal. Not probably, they're going to. It'll be kind of interesting to see what kind of players they're able to bring in.
And I think also, you talk about what OU basketball is doing, men's basketball. It's like, and of course, women's basketball, they got Aaliyah Chavez coming in. It's hard to beat that anywhere in the portal unless you're getting like, Paige Beckers or something. But I think a lot of people and donors watched that NCAA tournament, and there was so much talk about payroll and how much teams were paying. And for OU to know that they were that far under the average, basically, of what all these other teams in the NCAA tournament that went far, what they were paying, it's like it was a wake-up call. And I think that shows. So, we always say donors, you got to give. Kudos to the donors. Kudos to the guys that are backing that.
People stepped up.
Because they stepped up big time. And remember, Nigel Pack, when he left Kansas State, it was like national news about how much he was getting paid, like $800,000. He was like the
first, if I remember correctly, in like the basketball portal specific, he was the first guy that it was like, oh shit, that's what they're paying?
Yeah.
Like they being Miami. And obviously that thing kind of fell off the rails. Jim Larinaga quit during the middle of the season this year. They were terrible. But it was the first time in a long time with the men's side of basketball that I was like, oh, okay, like that's kind of badass.
This is real money.
Yeah.
Like this is life-changing money that college basketball players from Kansas State, who wasn't even any good, like it was crazy when he came out and went to Miami. All right, guys.
Even I remember him.
Nigel Pack.
Josh, like,
no, like I remember that. Like, oh my god, like, and part of it was Carey's affair with the Life Wallet situation at that point in time. That was
my guy Ruiz.
Ongoing romance.
Hey, he spent a lot of money. He hadn't exactly paid off a lot for him, but he'll always be able to say he bought the number 1 pick in the draft, I guess. And Cam Ward
kind of seems like he's going to be the number 1.
Okay, guys, I know we're running short on time here, and
just real
get
quick,
to other things. Yeah, let's hit
heartbreaker of a national championship game for Kellen.
Oh man,
I genuinely was like, I was not crushed, but I was just like, damn, to not even get a shot up. You got to get a shot up. That sucked, but it was a cool Final Four, and it was an awesome national championship game.
It was a great
I
Final
feel
Four
awful for that kid.
Yeah,
SEC.
He'll replay that for 50 years.
I was not pro SEC. I wanted Kelvin to win 100%.
I was all in on Houston.
But then when they lost, it was like, 5 minutes before the one shining moment, it was like, the SEC was pretty damn good.
Yep.
It was a really good conference.
They were, in fact, the best conference in college basketball.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. They showed out well in the NCAA tournament, too.
Also, I hate to be a downer, but rest in peace, Patrick Fletcher. I know that.
Yeah, that's a
shocking news.
That's
terrible.
So terrible. I mean,
for a young Eddie Radosevich, that 2000 national championship celebration over at the stadium, that was like the biggest thing in my world.
I know it definitely beat up my parents a little bit the other day because they've had season tickets. My dad's had season tickets since the 90s, and I don't know when Patrick got those seats, but whenever he did he's been sitting next to my parents for probably a decade or more. That's crazy. Literally right next to my parents. He has sat next to my mom forever, him and his son, and I know that they were pretty broken up over the news. So just awful stuff. And it sounded like it was kind of a shocking, tragic deal. Like I don't know exactly what happened, but
I just from everything that I've gathered online, it sounds like he was at the Tyler Childers concert and had some type of allergic reaction, something. Yeah. I think he was in pretty good physical health, is I guess what I'm trying to say. So it was a shock.
But all time dude, great guy. I know a lot of people have put out stuff and some memorable OU moments back in the day. Part of the 2000 national championship team.
I did not realize he had wrote a book about being on that team.
I vaguely remember that when it was mentioned, but yeah, people my age, that went to school in the 90s, mid 90s, late 90s, we loved him. Like he was so full of just piss and vinegar. Like it was just like, it was so bad at the quarterback situation. And he was a guy that
was
the
it
fans.
Eric Moore to Patrick Fletcher,
Jake Seals.
That's right.
Was the guy that just wasn't. They didn't have a guy. They did not have a quarterback that was.
Brandon
worth
Daniels was born to run the wishbone.
Yeah, they tried the wishbone that failed miserably. So then they had to try. Dick Winder was the offensive coordinator back then. I believe rest in peace, Dick Winder. I believe he's passed on as well. But you just wanted, it was like a lot like you can think about like when Dylan Gabriel went down and Davis Bevel, like everybody wanted to see General Booty. Like it was like he was the General Booty that actually got out there and played and made shit happen. And it was just like everyone loved him and he could do no wrong because, he was a Sooner legacy. His father, Ronnie, right? Ronnie Fletcher?
I do not know.
That sounds correct. My dad was talking about him.
Norman High
legend. I mean, just everyone in this town loved him. Everybody at the university loved him, and he was a walk-on. He was the guy that would, like I said, legacy, would give his, heart and soul for the university. Just dreamed of being an Oklahoma football player like his dad growing up, and he lived his dream and found some success. And even Bob Stoops talked about. I love what Bob Stoops said about how they called a trick play, and the only person that didn't know it was a trick play was the kicker. And he ended up getting like 14 or 15 yards on a critical, fourth down early in the Texas A&M game, and they went on to win like 51-6. But that was the big spark then. So he certainly did great things for Bob, but was just a little bit of a beacon that OU fans had in the late 90s when everything else was just shit.
And, and he kept that too. Like I said in my tweet, like he was a true Sooner all the way through. I mean, he was a big part of, I think, Sooners helping Sooners, was very active in the community and helping with the, program. And like I said, he's been sitting in those seats for years. I mean, going to every game. So he will be missed for sure.
All right, I think that's a good way to wrap it up. Josh, appreciate it. Eddie, George. We'll be back again next week after all the Crimson Combine is over. And
can't wait.
Eddie will either be able to rubber stamp it or spread his rage, depending on how it goes on Saturday.
Might depend a lot on how Rory plays on Thursday, Friday, so prepare yourselves.
Oh, if he doesn't make the cut. Anyway.
If he doesn't make the cut.
I don't want to put those vibes out there. I'm sorry.
Myself.
Anyway, thanks for listening. We'll be back again next week for another edition of the Unofficial 40 podcast right here on Soonerscoop.com.